killing job growth. Peter Schiff just testified before the House panel, and he joins us now with more. Peter, we said in our tease that you believe less is more and that regulations are what's stifling job growth more than anything else. Defend that position. Tell us why.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I had to venture into the belly of the job-killing beast here at the U.S. Congress. And, you know, it's interesting. They've convened an entire committee to try to figure out how to create jobs. Why don't they stop destroying the jobs that we already have first? That would be a step in the right direction. But, you know, we have all these Americans who are unemployed. And the reason is Congress has made it too expensive to hire them. So what we have to do to create demand for labor is reduce the cost of that labor. And one of the biggest costs isn't even the wages that we have to pay, but all the regulations and all the rules and all the litigation that employers expose themselves to when they hire somebody.
Well, how do we do that? How do we eliminate those costs?
We got to eliminate the rules and regulations that create those costs.
Well,
we have to make it appealing to hire people. We have to stop punishing people who hire people.
Peter, listen, you're talking about, according to the notes I look here, and this is Herb, abolish the federal minimum wage law, repeal the federal workplace anti-discrimination laws, repeal all laws mandating employment terms such as workplace conditions. Peter, you're calling for a return to the wild, wild west.
No, I'm calling for capitalism. I want to make it easy for people to get jobs. We got millions and millions of people who are never going to get jobs in this regulatory environment.
Where do you draw the line? We need some regulation. Peter, you know that, I know that, even Larry Kudlow knows that. Where do you draw the line?
We need more market regulations. Look, if employees don't like their jobs, they can quit. But the problem is right now, they can't get jobs. We have passed so many laws to protect employees that we've protected them from getting a job because people can't afford to hire them.
What's the appropriate level of regulation? I know what you're saying, Peter, and I think all of our viewers who know you know that there's a bit, I mean, you're not saying abolish all regulations, right? What's an appropriate level of government regulation? There's got to be some, because we saw in 3 years ago what happens when the banks are just sort of left to do whatever they want to do.
No, they weren't left to do whatever they wanted to do. That was the problem. The financial crisis was a consequence of government regulation.
No, the derivative, Peter, you will agree the derivatives market, maybe more specifically, was a little bit, to Herb's point, sort of the Wild Bill show.
It was the Federal Reserve keeping interest rates at 1%. It was Fannie and Freddie. That was what caused the housing bubble and the ensuing collapse. It wasn't the derivatives. The derivatives were a byproduct of the cheap money and the housing bubble that the derivatives were tied to. But when it comes to the employment situation, why does the government want to interject itself between the free negotiations between an employee and an employer? Let employees and employees negotiate the terms of employment. Don't have the government get in between and try to negotiate and dictate what the terms and conditions have to be.
So the $447 billion of jobs initiative is going to do nothing? You're saying there's nothing in there that you see could potentially create jobs?
It's not going to do nothing. It's going to do damage. It's going to help destroy jobs. It's going to run up the deficit. Bigger deficits are the problem. We have borrowed and spent our way into a gigantic hole. We're not going to get out of the hole by digging it deeper. We need to reverse, the policies of the past, not expand them. This is not a jobs bill. They might call it a jobs bill, but it's a jobs destruction bill.
I agree with you on that. I mean, you look at sort of how they're going to fund it, Peter. I mean, it really does sort of look more like a tax bill, right?
Well, but it's also a deficit
kind of the same stuff we've heard about revenue generation, the higher income, corporate jet owners. You know, is there anything new in here? Just sort of tax this side and then move it over here. Is that going to work?
No, they're trying to stimulate consumption, but that's the problem. We need to stimulate savings. We need more production, not more consumption.
Maybe the bottom line here. Look, Peter, maybe the bottom line here, no matter what they do, it's not going to be a quick fix. It's going to take a tremendous amount of time. It's going to be a modification of regulations. It's not going to be doing away with regulations. That's just not going to happen.
But this isn't a fix at all. What they're doing now is throwing gasoline on the fire. This makes the problem worse, and it simply accelerates the real economic crisis that's coming. 2008 was the warm-up. The main event is coming. We're going to have a sovereign debt crisis. We're going to have a currency crisis. And the real economic crisis is going to be so much more debilitating for the average American. It's going to be so much more painful to endure than the crisis that we think we're solving with current policies.
That's as we go through the reset.
Okay, well, as we're now all feeling warm and fuzzy, Peter, thank you very much for joining us.